Hey folks, how you doing? This is Johnny Cash Flow, and I had a segment set up today to talk about some firearm-related posts that I saw on Candid, and I sat there and I talked about it for far too long, and then it kind of dawned on me that it's so tough right now to try to talk about anything else besides the election. So I've decided that instead of trying to talk about something unrelated to the election, especially after the debate last night, I decided instead today to just give you guys a rant about the election. All right, so let's get right into it. So first, let me start off with saying that I am not a Trump supporter. I would never call myself a Trump supporter. I am a voter who is begrudgingly voting for Trump. And that's it. I am a #NeverHillary voter. And that's it. So back during the primaries, I was a Rand Paul supporter, and then later an Austin Peterson supporter. Okay, the individuals who really made me laugh and kind of pissed me off a little bit were the diehard Trump supporters, and the reason why is because all they focus on are bumper sticker slogans. And that's it. There's no substance to what they're talking about. They would just yell, build the wall or make America great again. But they couldn't talk about any of the substantive policies that Trump had produced at that point, which wasn't a whole lot. But these people who claim to be conservatives, then when you bring up his protectionist trade policies, would then turn around and, cast a blind eye and would have nothing to say about that. When you compare a protectionist trade policy from Donald Trump to a protectionist trade policy from a liberal, these same people would care more about if the trade policy was the sole issue that was being debated, then those people would still just support Donald Trump, or a Republican, rather than realizing that it's the same policies on both sides. You get what I'm saying? So they care more about the titles, and they care more about the party than they do about the policies. Same thing with when I brought up eminent domain. I had people who were arguing with me who claimed to be conservatives, arguing with me for in support of eminent domain. And they didn't even understand what eminent domain was. They're like, oh, well, it's important to build roads. Like, fuck that. Fuck that. And you ask them these questions. So you think that it's okay then for the government to come and take private property? Well, that's not exactly what they do. No, that's exactly what they do. That's exactly what they do. And so these were two main issues that I had going into the primaries against Donald Trump. But what really concerns me with the way that this election cycle has gone, or how it's manifested itself, is that it's all talking points and no substance. And maybe this is just because I'm in my 30s now. I'm a little nostalgic a little bit, but it just seems like nobody talks about the policies. Everybody only talks about the gossip. It's this culture that we live in where, people care more about the Kardashians or, freaking, I don't know, whoever is a popular dating celebrities than they do about anything of actual substance. And so we see this manifest itself in our politics now, where we have the Democrats coming out now with people saying, Donald Trump sexually assaulted me 30 years ago, and even though he's a millionaire and I could have, got millions of dollars in a settlement if any of this was actually accurate over the last 30 years, I decided now to say something about it. And so you have Democrats running with that, which is ridiculous. And then you have Project Veritas coming out with actual videos of Democrats, election officials, people who control voter registration. You have individuals coming out openly talking about from super PACs, paying people and sending them to Trump rallies to create violence, to cause an issue. And if you guys all remember, it wasn't that long ago that was the main talking point from the Democrats. Was, oh, look at Trump rallies, they're so violent. Well, no shit, they're violent. You fucking sent people there to be violent. And when people said that, other Republicans, which I would call rhinos, who they use that against them as well. So it's all talking points. Nobody once has said anything about his trade policies. Nobody once has said anything about his stance on eminent domain. Nobody once calls him out on any of the policies outside of the immigration. Like that's his big thing, right? Is build the wall, which, I personally support. I believe that you can't have a porous border with a welfare state, which is what America has become. So I gotta say that I support that. The other piece that he just recently came out, and this was the one piece, the one policy that I can honestly say 100% I support Donald Trump on. Just hands down from what he described was putting term limits on Congress members. Like, you want to talk about this should be something that all sides should be able to get behind. Okay, for all you Bernie Sanders supporters, all of you Democrats, liberals who claim that you want to get money out of politics. Well, this is how you do it. Well, the problem is not the money within the politics; it's the politicians within the politics who are receiving the money and who are creating laws or policies based off of the money that they receive. Okay, so when you have a senator who has a term limit, or a congressman, representative who has term limits, they can only do so much. They can only acquire so much power, and they can only do so much tit-for-tat policies, right? John McCain, I believe it was, and talked about how, sometimes you have to you have to vote for this legislation, because, the Democrat, your buddy Democrat, voted for your last piece of legislation. And that's the bullshit that people are tired of and that we need to get rid of. So if you're a diehard Democrat and you're saying that, if you say you don't want any kind of Republican policies to be put into place, then you should get term limits. You should understand that term limits are the way to be able to get rid of any of that tit for tat. You have a representative that's supposed to be your representative. It'll become more in line with the founding fathers' ideals of what a representative is. As George Washington famously said, the power under the Constitution will always be in the people. It is entrusted for certain defined purposes and for a certain limited period to representatives of their choosing, and whenever it is executed contrary to their interest or not agreeable to their wishes, their servants can and undoubtedly will be recalled. Unfortunately, we live in a world today where our representatives aren't being recalled. And it's definitely not for a certain defined period of time. You have individuals like Senator Robert Byrd, who was a senator and was in Congress for most of his life after, being in the KKK and after voting against civil rights, the Civil Rights Act, right? So these people are in there for their lifetime. Bernie Sanders has been in the government, has worked for the government his entire lifetime, okay? Harry Reid, their entire lives are spent in Congress. And then we wonder how things are so bad. Why things are so bad. So finally, bringing this full circle, folks, I gotta say that, if you're a Trump supporter and you've been a diehard Trump supporter from the beginning and you are now upset or somehow insulted by the quality or the level of political opposition that you face from the Hillary camp, all these last minute sexual assault allegations and all of this stuff coming out now, all I have to say is that you brought this on yourself. You brought this on yourself when you failed to prepare yourselves properly to actually debate an honest policy debate. You brought this on yourself when you wanted to call Ted Cruz Lion Ted instead of actually debating him on the policies that he put forth. You brought this on yourselves, right? You are reaping what you sowed, okay? And maybe you represent the future. And if so, I don't want to live on this planet anymore, because maybe that's the future of our political process, right? And it scares me to think about that. That in the future, the documentary of Idiocracy, we're gonna have the House of Representing, and we're gonna have President Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho, porn star and 5-time Ultimate SmackDown Wrestling Champion for our president. It's just lunacy on how we found ourselves at this point. And I have to say that if you were one of the early adopters of Trump and all that you've ever said when presented with any kind of debate or argument is build the wall or make America great again, or when presented with facts about non-conservative principles or non-conservative policies that Trump has presented, and you choose to ignore that, then that's on you. You are also part of the problem, along with obviously the leftists in the mainstream media. So, if you think that you're gonna sit here and complain about the degradation of the political process, then maybe you should think about looking inwards first. So that's my rant about the current political process and where we find ourselves. I think it's pretty obvious. I hate to be a defeatist, but I think it's pretty obvious that Hillary Clinton's going to win, unfortunately, and we're going to have at least another 4 years of Hillary Clinton in the presidency. So if you agree, disagree, put a comment, like, subscribe. If you want to debate this, if you think that I'm off point on something, please bring it up, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just kind of ranting here. So let's have a debate. Let's discuss this. If you think that Trump is the gift handed down from God herself, then please say so. Speak your mind. I'm sure that if you're a Trump supporter, you're used to doing that. And I do want to say a big thank you to all of my supporters. I'm now, thanks to you, a professional YouTuber. I could say that I'm now making money from this. So I want to say thank you guys. I got myself a new microphone thanks to all those big dollars that you guys or big penny that you guys have supported me with. So I took that penny and reinvested it into my microphone and this project. So it only cost me a small bit of money out of my personal account. So I want to thank you all. Donate to my Patreon and like and subscribe, and we'll get you guys more content. I'll probably post up some more rants. If you like the rant format, let me know. I think I ramble on too much. But if you like it, let me know. Or if you like more serious stuff, let me know. I'm trying to find a good balance, but I can only find that good balance with some feedback. All right. Thanks, guys. Catch you next time.